Hey guys, hope you're doing amazing tonight. I'm here with Patrick and we're going to talk about solar. We've kind of touched on it a little bit beforehand, but I'm coming from somewhere where I'm so dense at solar. Like if you give me one of those solar for dummy books, I'll probably still need someone to help me with it and install it and that kind of thing. But Patrick's here and he's got pretty good knowledge on solar. So we're going to pick his brain. And if you're thinking about putting in a solar, are we still good?
I'm good.
All right. So to get started with solar, what do I need to do? Like, where's the first thing I should start at?
You need to know if you can have solar in your municipality or wherever you live.
Okay.
That would be the first thing, because not everybody agree on solar, and some people, basically say no to solar. So that would be the first thing. And other than that, you need to be, willing to learn and be reliant on your own, basically. And yeah, you still there? Yeah. Okay.
No, I've been cutting in and out. I'm sorry, guys. This is, I'm not sure what's going on with my internet, but maybe it's the storm.
It is a storm for real.
Yeah. But I don't know if everyone in the chat heard that, or if it's me cutting in and out, or you're still good. But so basically, you were saying we need to find out if we can have solar before we go anywhere, eh?
Yeah, correct. Like some people, if you want to go like truly off-grid solar, some people, some places you cannot.
Okay.
And in that case, you can go F and F. We can split it with Hydro-Quebec and basically have a solar panel system, but no batteries. And therefore, you exchange power with them and cost less on your bill and this and that. That's another option. Like a lot of time people think about the batteries and being self-sufficient, in
Right.
matter of power and stuff. But there's also the, I think it's called net zero. And
Okay.
basically it's different system, but same type of idea beyond the solar panel. And you can use electricity during the winter.
Right. And then just kind of feed back into the grid when you've got an abundance of it.
Correct.
Okay. So would it be an option to do that for most people? Get started doing that? And if you do that, is it easy to switch over to like a battery system afterwards?
There's a bunch of stuff that can be done, and all those things need to be done professionally, right? But you can have a
Okay.
cutoff switch and have a battery system and a solar system, and or the same way you have a generator, sometime a backup generator.
Okay.
So basically, instead of having a generator, you have solar panel that feeds your battery, and the battery goes to your system in your house. Same as your
Okay.
generator could, in when your electricity is cut off, you basically start your generator and it feeds your house somehow. So you can do that as
Right.
well. So yeah, there's many ways you can be using solar panel as anything really. You can start small, you can go big. You can use the split idea with hydro and or have batteries.
Okay.
Yeah.
Seeing a bunch of questions come up in the chat. Make it easier for us to see them, guys. If you want to throw it in capitals or put questions beside it or in front of it, be easier for us to pick out. I'll scroll back up and say hi to everyone that has joined us, though. Alpine Preparedness, Rem's Family Farm, Who else? It's the Marshmallow Man, Jean-Marc, Cat Mac, Dave Knight, Wickershire Project, Dino, Little Homestead by the Beach, Me and You Acres. Everyone's coming in tonight. Gabrielle.
Thank you.
Nice. See some of the questions. Any advice on how to go about solar when one has a metallic roofing?
I don't see any issues per se. It might be actually a good thing because the snow will drip down faster, better, and therefore your solar panel will, eat up better and won't get clogged with snow and stuff. Other than that, like it might reflect a bit, but that's not a detriment because it will catch enough, and if your metallic roof is black, let's say, that's even better. You have a bigger surface of solar attraction sort of thing. That's what I know. That's what I would recommend. I don't see any difference. Maybe the brackets and stuff. We have to be careful with it so they don't, get leaking, water leaks and stuff.
I was gonna say, yeah, just make sure you seal that up nice when you put it on, eh?
Yeah, my siding here is, my walls siding is metal. So
Okay.
and I have a solar panel on that, and the cap pretty much the same as my roof setting. And so I don't think it would make any difference as per, maybe if it was white or something, that might not help. But yeah.
Okay. How much full sun daily would a person need? I guess the more the better, eh? But for us in the northern climates, it kind of hurts. You were saying before in winter, right?
Yeah. To answer Jean-Marc's question, they, they, as per the internet, they say 3.5 hours is what we get during the winter here as per average. And what is it? I don't even know what latitude we are. But, it is that. But like I was saying earlier, before the stream there, I was 26 days in 1 day of sun. So when the sun is not there, it's not there whatsoever.
Right.
And here, I need like 5 hours of sun, very, very good sun to get my batteries going pretty good. So that's what I need here. That's my system. Yeah. It's not perfect, but that's what I got right now. And more solar panel will be faster results sort of thing. But yeah, for me, I need like 2-3 hours of charging bulk, it's called. And then they go float and absorptions. So, there's a sequence that needs a couple hours each sort of thing. So, so that's why I need that.
And you said you have battery system, right? So you've got batteries to store what the solar panels collect.
Correct. I'm off grid, as they say, and I don't have any electricity whatsoever per hydroelectricity. So everything electric is from solar.
Okay. I was thinking like if I try and do something maybe out in the chicken coop or out in the garage or even the greenhouse to do some like lighting and a fan and that, if I'm doing battery out there, is that a problem? Like, can I have the batteries in a non-insulated building that's cold? I think I could, right? Because of the truck, it's got a battery. Could I do it with this?
It depends on what kind of battery you got.
Okay.
Like a truck battery would be lead batteries. I said lead batteries. And what is used usually with solar is the deep cycle ones. So like a boat sort of thing, 6-volt deep cycle to make whatever 12, 24 volt system, 12 or 24 volts. Lithium batteries cannot freeze. So using lithium inside your greenhouse, if it would go below, I think it's 5 degrees on my end here.
Okay.
that would damage the battery.
Okay.
So yeah, like you need to think about other kind of heating system other than electric when you're on solar. So let's say here we have wood for the whole house. We have forced air duct system for the whole house. We do not have 220 volts system, like the coil heating systems and stuff like that.
Right.
And so, like that you can imagine, oh shit, I got all this, I got all that, I got my spa, my garage, you cannot do all these things if you want to. There's like crazy system you can get. It depends on your budget for sure. Otherwise you have to think otherwise, like, you've been on the grid, but you've thought about heating your spa with wood and stuff, but like, I'm sure you have story about that to tell versus electric versus anything, so like we don't have any spa here and stuff, so we don't worry about that.
Yeah.
But we do worry about if we build a garage, what can we do about that? Like, how we're going to heat it, and such.
Right. Talking about batteries, Jane's asking, what kind of batteries do you suggest? What do they normally cost for getting set up?
It depends on your setup. If you want one light, you'll need like, the lowest of the batteries, like 12-volt batteries to run in one light. You're going to be good for days with one battery in your camp, but if you want something, sustainable for your house and stuff, you will need to calculate what you need in order to know what you would get.
How do we do that?
There's always a calculation, right? So
Okay.
everything you have electric, there's a label in the back.
Okay.
It tells you the amps. Nobody buys by the amp. Like when you purchase your fridge, you never go and say, oh, this fridge is taking 2 amps, 5 amps.
Right. Exactly.
Like you say, oh, I wanted the drawer at the bottom, so it's it's.
I think that's where I
fancy.
get confused, is because I'm like, okay, so how much does my freezer drain? And it's going by amps, and I'm like, okay, well,
Yeah.
how do I figure that out?
There's a calculation, and I wish I would have written it down, but it's basically you take the amps.
Okay.
So let's say 10 amps to make it square. 10 amps by 110, because you use 110 volts on your system. Like example, your electric system is 110, right? So you plug it, you got 10 amps using 110 volts. And, it's easy enough to calculate, but I don't think I could right now. But give me 1 second here. I want look bad on YouTube here. So you got 110 by 10. So you'll need 1,100 watt. You're going to use 1,100 watt.
Okay.
If you follow me, 10 amp at 110 volt will give you that much. Sorry,
Okay.
I've been truncated here. It's not the connection, it's my brain here. So you basically need to calculate your amp, your voltage, and that will give you the wattage you're using.
Okay.
All right. So you can replay that, if you need to know.
Yeah. So that's like a key moment right there. Yeah.
Yes, definitely. And my father-in-law gave it to me, actually. He helped me about, installing all of my system and stuff. And that basically stuck. Amps, voltage equals wattage.
Right. Okay.
And there's also tools you can buy, like what is it called, kilowatt. Go on Amazon, it's $20. You plug your stuff, you plug it in your outlet, and you plug whatever you want to know how much wattage you take to use that.
Okay.
You can do that. But I like to know how many amps, how many voltage I use. And basically I go by, okay, let's say the toaster is 1,000 watt, right? That's a given. It's 1,000 watt, but for like what, 2 minutes, 3 minutes? So it doesn't matter.
Thing, yeah.
It doesn't really matter in a day, but if you use a TV that used 300 watts for 6 hours,
okay,
that would drain your battery somehow, So it depends on what you use. Like we don't use a big TV here, so it's not too bad on that part. But my kid use Xbox, on a smaller TV and stuff. So we have to gauge our consumption basically. That's another thing we should have mentioned at first is it's the habit of consuming everything.
Right. So with the big TVs, like here we've got, I think it's like 2 or 3 TVs. We've got 2 fridges, 2 freezers, 2, 3 computers running almost all the time. Like, would it be feasible for us to consider some sort of solar system, or would we have to almost complement the electric or complement it with wind or something like that kind of?
Yeah, there's a lot of consumption there for sure, and for a reason. Like I know you harvest all your meat, you do all sorts of stuff like that. So it's sort of a necessity. We do have a deep freezer here. We have one big one, and we did look for the lowest wattage that we could find.
Oh, okay.
And that's that. And I believe we could have 2 of them, but not more than that. We do have a fridge here, which is very, very efficient. Like you cannot see a dent anywhere whatsoever. So that's pretty cool, but it's a smaller, like they don't do any freezer like that. So
Okay.
deep freezer, they take a lot of, what is it called? Like it's a pump, right? Like the pump freeze, the stuff. So it's not like a rotative motor like the fridge we have. So you can
Right.
see the difference in the consumption with that, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does,
Like a
because I
term,
do
so yeah.
have an off-road freezer that I use in my truck. So it's designed to run off like a vehicle battery. So I can run it off a battery for an entire weekend and freeze stuff or keep stuff cold, and it doesn't drain the battery that much.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah.
No, that's good. Like, when you have electricity, you think about not having electricity, right? Like, it's like, okay, I have backups, I have fire backups and stuff. And fortunately, like people work hard to get the electricity back, right?
Yeah.
So that's a good thing. And if something happened here, I'm the one who needs to do everything. So that's another drawback of having all this system solar. Like the other day during Christmas, people had trouble with electricity over here, and I was like, oh shit, that's the first time we actually test the system, because we never had any trouble really. So that was pretty challenging, and in my mind anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just seeing a couple more questions coming through here. Besides anti-theft purposes, is it preferable to have the solar panels installed on the side of the house or the roof? There's also a comment about, if you have a big yard, can you mount it in the yard? Is that an option as well? Is there something that's preferable?
Let's see, anti-theft purpose. You can go crazy as much as you like about that, but it's so hard to steal, like maybe off grid somewhere in the boondocks. You would need something like that to protect your stuff. I can understand that, but I live here, so I don't know about that much. If someone wants to steal my panels, good luck. I might awaken before anything. But yeah, I can understand theft, but like wires and stuff. But I don't think like cameras and stuff. I heard stories of people getting stuff stolen. Like in northern Quebec here and stuff like that. But what can you do? Like it's that would be a hard one. And the other one was what was the other question?
Is there an optimum place to mount solar? Like roof, side of the house, in the yard?
That's another thing that you need to check with your municipality.
Okay.
Because it may allow to have it somewhere and others don't. Like here, they have regulation that your panel cannot go higher than your roof. So your roof is like that. Your panel couldn't be here.
Oh, okay.
So again, nobody sees my panels, so but they're all on par. But you need to know these things. And as per orientation, it's definitely due south, and with an angle, it varies during the winter and the summer. It's about 60 degrees to 30 degrees, depending, And mine is in between. I don't move them. On the roof, I got roof and two sides of the house. It's not the best. One big array would be the best, and somewhere you can remove the snow and there's direct sunlight, it's always the best, during the day you have enough sun that you can harvest everything at once. Here I cannot do that at this point, so I have three array of solar panels. So one roof, one basically south, and one west. And the reason we did that is to sometimes cap sun during the evening, and during the morning, and especially on the sizes during the winter, because during the winter it's basically very, very low angle. It's basically direct sun, so the sides of the house work better than the roof, which I have a hard time removing the snow. Today we had like a big snowstorm, which was a pain in the butt, to remove everything everywhere. And so I didn't get to those. And but I was able to harvest the 3 hours we had today, which wasn't enough, but at least could shave probably an hour of generator if we want to. But we have a pretty good steady generator pattern during the winter when it's not sunny. So yeah, orientation is always due south. The best is due south. If I had place, well, I have room, but I have a lot of trees, so I have to be aware of all the trees. But if you're in the middle of the field somewhere, due south, 60 degrees during summer, and 60 during the winter, 30 during the summer. Okay. And yeah, that's good. And the more the merrier.
Y'all must have read my mind. Been researching solar all day today.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
You've been down the rabbit hole yourself.
Yeah, it's like once you start getting into it, it's like, for me, I guess I need to focus more and make sure, I have kind of a basic knowledge going into it to be able to start figuring it out.
Yes, it's no matter what, it's important, because you would rely on yourself, or you would pay for it. You would ask someone to come and check your stuff. And you mentioned something about having something going solar, like your solar passive greenhouse.
Right.
That's perfect. You can run yourself with it. You can buy something that is not like the extent of an arm and a leg, to purchase your stuff. And you could buy used as well,
Okay.
And if you want light and a fan, that's easy enough. You go online, you look for the amps, you look for, if it's a 12 volt or a system you want to, because if it's 110, you need an inverter. Sometimes 12 volt, you don't need one, but usually you need one. So that's one of the parts you need in order to transform your solar electricity to 110 or 12 volts or whatever you need.
So say I wanted to run plug-in lights or my laptop computer or something like that. Mm-hmm. You're talking about different watts or different voltages and that sort of thing. What would I need to, say, run a plug-in light or computer, laptop, that sort of thing? You're saying 110 is basically the normal household electric, right?
Yeah.
How would you achieve that with solar?
You could go like 12 volts in order to charge the small things you just mentioned.
Okay.
You have to think about, you want a home or you want to camp, and there's everything in between. Even the more luxurious home, like I'm not even there, and I know people live in a regular home that they built, and they have a smaller system. So you have to think about what you like to achieve first, and then, and what would be the best thing for you.
Okay.
So a laptop, might as well just buy a solar panel at Canadian Tire, and everything would be there for you. You'll be able to, get your laptop charging, and you'll be able to camp for months during summer,
Right.
So if you want a house, that's different. But if you want a set of lamp in your camp, but you want not too shabby camp, you want something cool, you want something efficient, and maybe you want to have like a freezer there somehow, or a fridge, because that's simple enough still, you need to know what you need, but you would be able to buy a battery, like a real stuff, I'm not talking Canadian Tire stuff, but a real battery with a real inverter, right? And therefore you'll be able to have some sort of not network, but what do you call the electricity system, There you go. Dave got it. There you go. But starting 12 volt is good. I would go with 110 personally, because then you can do anything. It's cheaper. A lot of time, 12 volt stuff like RV stuff, camping stuff, it's very expensive.
Okay.
But when you think about building a house, you can buy a wire for that much. You can buy, switches and stuff for that much. They're ain't no different than anything else you've seen. So sometimes you might have 6 switches right now in your garage, and you could build your greenhouse and stuff with your fan and all with a battery, 12 volts, 24 volts, or 48 volts. But that would be overkill for a greenhouse.
Okay.
All right. So your system, when you need a system, is you need solar panel, you need wires, you need fuses, you need a charge controller. That's one of the biggest part you need.
So what would be the parts I would need? You're just saying like the charge controller, the solar panels, others are saying an inverter. What would be kind of everything that I need to buy to get something going?
Okay. Let's say from top to bottom, you need solar panel, of course. You need wires. There's specific wires. You need fuses in order to protect everything, and then you'll need charge controller to basically control all the charge, a solar charge that comes to it, and then those goes to your batteries.
Okay.
All right. Then your batteries push the power to an inverter.
Okay.
There's different sizes of charge control, different sizes of inverters. The more serious you are, the more rugged and more expensive it will be, and the more cheaper camp like you would like, you can go to Canadian Tire and get everything you want. And then from the inverter, you need something that goes to your real power. By real power, I mean 110 or 220 if you have a bigger system, right?
Right. And you were saying, like, if I want to run our hot tub or the dryer or the stove, I guess, too, if it's electric stove, then we'd need the 220, right?
Yeah, 220, that's extensive. Like, it's a big system, right?
Okay.
With that, you need 48 volts batteries to give you split phase 110, 220.
Okay.
Makes sense. You can return and come back here. It's very important information.
Yeah.
And there's lots of people that explain all that online,
Okay.
But basically, it would give you enough power. But during winter, you'll need something to power all that thing. So you need a bigger generator. Like right now, I have a very almost basic generator. I don't need much because my system doesn't require much in order to charge and push everything to my system, because they do both here. But when you think about a spa or something like that, you'll need something in the 17,000 kilowatts.
Right.
17,000 kilowatts.
Yeah.
And so something like that, 10,000 easy, because you'll need to generate all that to 220, 220 volts. So that's like crazy power. So here it's basically, go for it.
With that, like, how many batteries do you think I'd be looking at, kind of like a guesstimate, or how many solar panels would I?
We would need to go. I don't know. To be, I'll answer. I never even phantom of having a spot here, but I did
With
look your
something like
video
that,
about it though, about your wood spot.
we'd probably have to look at something that's hybrid, eh? Where the
Yes.
solar, wind,
Yeah.
possibly other sources.
My opinion, and that's my personal opinion. I don't have any degree in any of that. Is something when you require a lot of power like that, you cannot go off grid. Like it's almost
Okay.
impossible to do that, and it's not in the uh, in the thinking of going off grid. Like it's not that we're hippie or sorry, all the hippies in the world, but we're not that extreme in our lifestyle. We do are careful about our consumptions. My kids are not, like they want to live normal, but we are careful here and they have a routine now. It's good enough. But that's one of the thing is the mentality of going off grid with solar panel. It's not that it's greener because all the process to build all this, but it's more like a responsibility of how to use it. The technology is here. What you're going to do about it, in order to use that, in order to be more efficient. I don't know. Like the reason for me was, I don't know, the trail basically, I
Yeah.
didn't expect that. I wanted the land and the house came with that.
And that's the thing for, I think a lot of us is we're not looking at it to be green, because for us, we do other things for that. The way we live the rest of our life, we're pretty green, I'd say. For us as individuals, I think, and probably a lot of people here, we kind of want that solar option, wind option, off grid option to back up if we do lose power, or for yourself, like that is your main power. But others, if we lose power, is there something else we can rely on to, say, power lights? Heat's not really an option for us. We have the wood stove, so we're okay there. But for something like our well, we need power if we lose power on the grid to be able to continue to get water.
Yeah, water. That is a thing that takes lots of wattage.
Okay.
When you think about the usage and the consume, how you consume it on a daily, you need to think about water, eat. Those are the biggest
Right.
to most of us, I guess. So a pump here for us is 1,000 or 700 watts or 1,000 watts for a minute.
Okay.
So if the tank is empty, to fill it up, it's a minute. It takes that much. And you think I'm crazy because I know that, but that's how it works. I don't worry
It's
about
what
it.
you're used to, though, because you've been dealing with the system for years, so you kind of get an idea of what everything takes, what is capable of being powered where you're at.
Yeah. And nowadays we don't worry about it because everything is cool. Like we have a good system. But when we first moved in, it was like we bought a crazy house with no power whatsoever. It's like it was rough, and we spent a lot of money doing it. But we knew we had a bigger plan. Like we had to think about that. So it was clear in our mind that we need to upgrade everything to do this and do that. And luckily, everything was sort of here, so it didn't cost us much. Still a good chunk, but it's not a big chunk compared to a lot of people. And we did it ourselves, me and my father-in-law and my treasurer. The better half there, we count the money and everything. But it was easy in a sense that we knew where we were going, so it was easy. So learning is a big part of all this, like we were saying before. Yeah.
If you would be suggesting something for us where, say we want to just have something back up for a well, is there some sort of system that you'd suggest for that? Should we look at a wind option or like an old school windmill? Or is there a solar option that might work for something like that?
Funny you say that. I'll get back to the answer with the solar part, but we have artesian well. So when we moved in, there was a big old-fashioned pump on top of it, but it's not old-fashioned. It's all stainless. It's called a Bison pump. Go check it up online. It's they don't even have a price on their website and stuff. So I was pretty happy that it was there. And so it's incredible.
We've looked at some of those systems, and they can be pretty pricey.
Yeah, to me it was there. So I was like, like it's a big attraction every time someone comes here. But that's how I feed my chickens. That's how I feed water my chicken.
Okay.
And everything else. But it's easy enough. It never freezes. So that's a good backup to me. And that's like ruggedest you can get. Maybe not. It's not an option, but I think it's the greatest thing in the world. So, but when you have a system in your home and you want to keep going with your home, I would basically, for smaller, like amount of time, I would get a generator.
Okay.
A good generator that would be hooked up with your panels professionally.
Which we do have. We actually just have to hook up the the switch. What I want to do is put a panel in the wall going into the basement so I can hook up my generator to that.
Yes.
Flick the switch to cut off the breaker or cut off the power coming in, and then just be able to use the breaker with the generator.
That's it. That's what you need to do in that scenario.
Right.
But again, there's the propane and there's the gas, gasoline, So there's a generator that run on propane that you can get big tanks. You could run for a long time with that. That's how we get our backup here as well. For us, it's a must because, like I was saying, in the winter, 26 days, there's no way my batteries are strong enough, even if I had 12 of them, 30 of them, and so there's no way there. So that's good. Other than that, I would hook up everything to generator to that panel. So I would keep my system the same way it is. So if I do solar, let's say if I do generator, think about it as the same thing as a shore on your RV. You go on an RV, there's a shore, it's called. You plug it into wherever you go, So you have your solar or you have your generator. There's also those Yeti, Blue Yeti stuff, like big battery system. There's many exploding these days. Not exploding last purple. But they're like many of them getting born on the market and stuff.
Yep.
Those are amazing. They work the same as whatever you got here. They're portable. Mine are not portable. They're 24 volts, 200 amp lithium batteries.
Okay.
So you do the math. You can't, that's another math you need to do in order to see how much you.
The problem with this solar thing is there seems to be a lot of math, and I don't really do math well.
Yeah, you need to know the basic of your maths. That's for sure, because you need to know how much you get as per solar intake.
Okay.
You need to know how much you consume and how much you can bank.
Okay.
So that's the three things you need to know. But I'm not a big math guy either, but there's enough to know in order to know that, like with everything I got here as per using, like lighting, fridge, pump, and stuff. You just lay down all your thing you need in the house, and there's many when you got a spa, when you got this and that. But don't worry about the garage door opener. I got one here. Like, what the, I'm on solar. I got a garage door opener. But that takes like, I don't know, 100 watts for a minute.
Okay, right.
It doesn't matter in the scope of things because you don't use it all the time. the first thing we did when we moved, we changed we changed all our light bulb, all with all those LED, 8 watts. That what is it like? It's the same as
Okay.
100 watt.
Right, because
Um,
there is stuff, rather than trying to ramp up your production for solar or wind or whatever, you can also ramp down your consumption.
yeah, and I just noticed Dave Knight who said it's like chicken mat. Exactly, like it's a chicken watt. It's what mat, definitely. But yeah, you just need to know those. But like we don't have a microwave by choice. We could
Right.
have, because it's what is it like 5 minutes, 1,000 watts. It's not the end of the world really, but it's a consumption. Like we
I'm
decided
not a
not
big
to have
fan of
that.
microwaves anyway. I think it just kills all the good stuff in your food.
It comes with the mentality of all this, I think homesteaders are like that by by the wee way, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah.
But sometimes, like you were saying, I need to eat my solar passive greenhouse. I need to heat my chicken coop. I need to eat my all these things. I think could be independent, but there's ways to do all that during the summer. There's no problem. There's no heat problem.
Right.
Like you can have a very small system run everything perfect, but it's a goddamn winter. But with that, you need to think differently. You
Right.
need to think about, how can I do this? So if I do have a garage here, it's going to be it has to be self-sufficient. There's a lot of things go with propane, but propane for me, it's one of the things that I got rid of at first. It's one of the things I didn't want to be dependent on. Same with gasoline. The better my system will be, the less generator I will use. And if I'm not mistaken, my number lady here will tell me, but I think we use half of what we used to last year with the new system we got. So it's improvement over improvement all the time.
There's question 2 for us in the northern climates. Is cleaning off the solar panels from snow, is that going to be as the same sort of chore as shoveling the back deck, shoveling the front stairs, snow blowing the driveway? Am I going to have to include cleaning off the solar panels in that as well?
Yeah.
Okay.
Depends where they are, but
Yeah.
mine on the side of the house, they're like square, right? So
Okay.
there's no
No snow
whatsoever.
accumulation on that.
But icicles, I just have icicles for the first time, so I need to get rid of those icicles because they will, block some lights. Yeah, we do stuff with popcorn.
Yeah, exactly. The kids will have popcorn in the microwave. We've had a microwave here. Bridget's always used one. I'm like 50 years old this year, and I think I just started using a microwave this year for a few times to heat up my coffee if it gets cold. But that's it. Otherwise, I'm like, no, I'm not touching it.
You're gonna nuke it,
Yeah. I'm like, no.
Yeah.
I'm like, nope.
But we were, I'm not an extreme person, but Kay, my lady, it's kind of extreme sometimes, and so we were really counting everything at first, like, we can't do that, but it was sort of a scare, like we were scared about using it because we thought, what we're gonna do, like it's gonna be depleted, and stuff like that.
Right.
But after a while, it's like, okay, like it wasn't working, like it was more, like a headache than anything else. So you don't want that, you want something that you can rely on and you can do your stuff. So as small as you want, you can do your doghouse if you want, but do it self-sufficient. Like propane to me was a big thing, like I was saying. So there's like a propane wall heater you can use for your greenhouse, let's say, but you need propane.
Right.
You would need propane. So personally, I don't want that. But eating a greenhouse during the middle of the winter at -30, you need something else. You need to think about a geothermic ground battery system somehow in order to achieve that. So you need to think differently in all aspect of it, and that's what's fun to me. You know,
Right. The
you know,
interesting thing, how you're mentioning that, is what we've mentioned is multiple different ways to provide a solution for things we need. So everything from wood stove to propane to natural gas to manual hand pumps to
yeah.
solar
And
to
nothing is
wind.
new. You have to go back a few hundred years in order to figure what they did back then and not be
Right.
crazy about it. You know, adapt it to 2023 and say, okay, this is how it's going to work. But you have to think. You have to. I don't know. I like to see what happened and see what is happening and mix them together. You know, like you
Yes.
were saying about your pump, you know, I would use the same system and make sure that whatever I push it for, the power I push towards it, you know, it's good enough, because at a certain point I want to keep the same commodities as a regular person, you know. Otherwise you need double system in your house, double, you know, plugs on the wall. Oh, I'm running out of electricity, so I need a light here, I need a light there, you know. So I'm just a big fan of doing the normal thing, uh, which sometimes is very small needed, and sometimes it's big, like a house. Like I guess I have right now is it's not big. I have a house, but it's hard to deal with solar. It's not a house that was made to be that way. You know, it's not a
Right.
solar passive house that could be even better and stuff like that. It's a Canadian style home. So I don't know
And
what a guy thought about. You know.
that's the other thing too, is I guess if you're starting from scratch to build a house, it would be much easier to include some of the aspects and some of those systems. For example, like you just mentioned, a passive solar heating system
Yep.
where you get all the sunshine coming in, heating up your tile or heating up the stone, and use that to warm your house, and then complement that too with solar and wind and fireplace and other stuff as well.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah. There's people who make a living doing those things, and they're usually beautiful, amazing, and very expensive. um, that's what I noticed. But it's all good, to be honest. You know, it's really good. But the return on your money, you know, that's where everything for us here. It's important because we make just regular money as much as you and everybody, you know, so we don't have anything to be crazy about and in order to do all these things, but we have fun doing it, and it's possible without breaking it like a bank, basically.
Right.
It is possible, and don't go crazy because you start and you go, hey, I want all this, because you're going to be deceived in December when everything's going to go for crap, you know, because it will, because there's 26 days, you know, like it goes crazy like that. And, but mostly, and that's the rough part about it, but you have to be ready for that. And, a lot of people don't worry about it because they have everything automated. Here, our generator, we have to start it. So that's the next step we need to improve. So it starts when, let's say, the battery goes to 20
Goes
volts, 24 volts. You know, it starts automatically. You
right.
know, and so and that's like we're going to be golden. We're going to, you know, that's going to be fun. But you don't need that. You know, but it's nice not to go outside when it's snowing like this and shovel before you go and start the generator, you know.
It's so true, because that's why I'm kind of thinking of these. What can I do around here to improve stuff? Because if we lose electricity, I really don't want to go out and start the generator. I want to be able to, I'm lazy. I want to be able to just, flick a switch or
There's
do
generator
something.
with remote controls.
That
That
would be,
that's yeah, but
yeah,
like a real stuff would be plug into your inverter. So you have
right,
a very decent generator that starts. The one with the remote could work, or a fancier that, you know, is made for a real home, off grid home and stuff like that. But the main thing is they start automatically when your battery are depleted. So you set up a threshold of 24 volts, something like that, you know, and then whoop, it starts and it goes up to whatever you set it up to be.
right.
So So that's really good in a sense, and
Nice.
that goes with it. But that's part of being green. It's not because you're using a generator, and stuff like that. Propane is pretty clean to use, but it's not clean to be when it's made,
Right.
So stuff like that. But it's also the dependency. For us, it's the dependency. Like we don't want to buy it, we don't want to use it. It's one of the reasons why we use wood as a main source of eating is because we have 23 acres of that.
Right.
And that's very important to me. That's one of the things. Same with the chickens. You want them to be perpetual. So everything we do here is perpetual as per fruit trees, bushes, stuff like that. So it comes with the solar, like it came with the solar because we weren't like that at first,
It took a lot getting used to and
a little bit,
getting to know it. And like you
that's
said,
more like that. Yeah.
Being able to count the numbers from the start and learning what each appliance used, how much input, output stuff provides. And yeah. And I like that idea too, that both you and Dave mentioned, is even getting started with something small. So then you can get used to it. You do get to see what's happening. You get the hang of it, and then you're able to scale it up to be able to suit another project or suit something else.
Yeah. It's more than likely, like some people will dig it and will run to it, and like I did, like when we saw this house, we're like, what, and then we're like, oh, then we're like, yeah, and then YouTube, like YouTube, and then I was okay, let's go, and then CHTF, SHTF, and then we're like, oh, okay, that doesn't work. Okay, well, let's learn. And what I know now is now it's easy. Like I can talk about this all day, and like I don't know everything, and there's pros on YouTube, that can answer all your questions. But what I know is it's not impossible. It's just being 100% solar all year long here. It's impossible. I know that much because
Right.
you need the generator to get going.
Yeah. Perfect. Well, we're coming up on an hour, and I think you've answered all my questions. So if anyone has any other questions, we can try and get them answered for you. But otherwise, I want to thank you for that. It seems a lot more easier in my mind now than what I was struggling with before. It seemed overwhelming to be able to not only do the math, but try and figure out, where to start, what to buy, what to do. And to get someone in, I think sometimes you struggle with, someone that's going to oversell you a system you don't need, or provide something you don't need, or charge you for stuff you don't need. Whereas being able to have some of that knowledge firsthand, it gives you that strength to go in and kind of make sure you're getting what you need.
Yeah, in everything you do, and most of people here will agree because they're homesteaders somehow. You need to know what you getting yourself into,
Right.
and that's
Right.
ain't no difference, because otherwise you're gonna rely on people, and but like it's not impossible. It's just you need to be willing to learn something, and it's electricity, so it's different. If you're an electrician. I've met a guy who's actually working for Hydro-Québec. He's off grid, and he's got a killer system. Like outside in a container, it's all sealed up in there. And he went crazy, but he's such good at it.
Right.
He knows exactly what it's all about, and he's making fun of at work because he's off grid and he's working for the big hydro corporation. But it's all electricity, so you have to be aware of that.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Awesome.
So let me know when you do your next project.
I'll definitely be keeping you posted and picking your brain on stuff. So
all right, you're gonna have a solar pig or a solar cow soon. Little panel to harvest sun on it.
Yeah, exactly. Awesome. Thanks again for joining me. I really appreciate that. Thank you all for joining us in the chat. Thanks so much for coming in. If you guys have any other questions afterwards, drop a comment and we'll get you an answer on that. So awesome. Thanks so much, guys. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you.